Let me tell you a story. Two lumberjacks set out to cut down as many trees as possible in one day. The first worked tirelessly, swinging his axe with full force, never stopping. The second, however, took breaks every hour. At the end of the day, the second lumberjack had cut more trees. Puzzled, the first asked, "How did you do it?" The second smiled and said, "Every time I took a break, I sharpened my axe." This story highlights an important lesson. Hard work matters, but without strategy, without sharpening the axe, it's not enough. For so long, we've been taught that the path to success is simple and clear. Put in the hours, grind it out, work harder than the next person, and you'll get everything you've dreamed of. We've been sold the idea that the secret to success is working longer, pushing harder, ignoring the exhaustion, and continuing to grind through any challenge no matter what. People have told us over and over again that success is about hustling every single moment, making sure there's no room for rest or slowing down. But let me tell you something. There's more to it than just working hard. Hard work alone, while important, is not the full story. In fact, it's only one part of the equation. Now, let's get real for a second. Look around you. Who are the hardest working people in your community? Think about the teachers who spend hours preparing lessons, the nurses who stay on their feet for 12-hour shifts, the construction workers who break their backs every day, putting in everything they've got just to make a living. These are the people who show up day in and day out, giving everything they have to their jobs. They put in the hours, they hustle, they grind. But if hard work alone determines success, then these folks would be the wealthiest people on earth. They'd have the mansions, the luxury cars, the fame, the accolades. But they don't. Instead, we see them struggling day after day, just trying to make ends meet. So what's missing? If hard work alone was the answer, we wouldn't see so many people working their fingers to the bone, giving everything they got and still not achieving the success they desire. It's clear that there's something more, something deeper that we're not being told. Success isn't just about putting in the hours. It's about knowing what to do with those hours. It's about being strategic, understanding your purpose, and knowing how to leverage your energy and effort to the right places. Because if you don't understand where you're going, or if you don't have a plan for how to get there, then no amount of hard work will ever be enough. Think about the most successful people in the world. Sure, they work hard, but it's not just about their work ethic. It's about how they use their time, how they manage their resources, and how they navigate obstacles. They don't just throw themselves at their goals without understanding the bigger picture. They've learned how to be efficient, how to be smart with their efforts, and how to build the right connections. They know that while hard work is crucial, it's not the only thing that will get them to the top. And that brings us to another important point: rest. If you're constantly working without ever taking a step back to recharge, you're setting yourself up for failure. Success requires balance. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that the more hours you put in, the more successful you'll be. But I want you to understand something. If you burn yourself out, if you're exhausted and drained, you'll lose the very energy you need to move forward. You'll lose clarity. You'll lose the ability to think critically. You'll lose focus. And that's a dangerous place to be. Success isn't about working yourself into the ground. It's about working smart, taking care of your body, your mind, and your spirit. It's about knowing when to push and when to pull back. Success comes from a place of strength, and strength comes from taking care of yourself. If you're running on empty, if you're pushing through every day without ever giving yourself the time to recharge, you're not going to make it to the finish line with the energy you need to win. We also need to acknowledge that success is not a one-size-fits-all formula. What works for one person may not work for another. The path to success is different for everyone, and the way you define success is unique to you. Some people may find success in building a business, others in raising a family, and still others in pursuing a creative passion. There's no one definition of success, and there's no one path to get there. It's about figuring out what your goals are and what success means to you, and then doing the work to make it happen. But don't confuse hard work with success itself. The journey requires more than just relentless effort. It requires strategy, adaptability, and the willingness to learn from your mistakes. Another thing we often overlook is the importance of community. Too many people try to do everything on their own. They think that success is about being self-made, about building everything from the ground up without relying on anyone else. But let me tell you something. No one gets to the top alone. The most successful people understand the value of relationships. They know that success is about collaboration, about building a network of people who support you, challenge you, and push you to be better. It's about surrounding yourself with the right people, people who will elevate you and help you grow. Success isn't just about what you can do by yourself. It's about what you can accomplish when you work together with others, when you share your vision and let others help you bring it to life. Let's not forget that failure is part of the process. It's easy to think that if you work hard enough, you'll never fail, that success will be a straight line from point A to point B. But anyone who's been through the trenches knows that success isn't a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, and bumps along the way. Failure is not the end of the road, it's part of the journey. Every successful person has faced setbacks, has encountered obstacles that threaten to derail them. But what separates those who make it from those who don't is how they respond to failure. They don't quit. They don't throw in the towel. They don't let failure define them. They learn from it, they adjust, they get back up and keep moving forward. Failure doesn't mean you're not working hard enough. It means you're growing. It means you're learning. It means you're getting closer to your breakthrough. So I want you to understand this today. Hard work alone is not enough. You can't just hustle your way to success. You need strategy. You need rest. You need community. You need to learn from your failures. But above all, you need to know that success is not just about the grind. It's about the choices you make along the way. It's about how you use your time, how you build your relationships, and how you stay focused on your goals, even when things get tough. You've got to work smart. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to be patient, and you've got to keep going even when it seems like nothing is working. Because I promise you, success is coming. But it's not coming because you're working harder than everyone else. It's coming because you're doing the right things. And you're staying the course. You're making the choices that will take you to the top. So don't let anyone tell you that all you need is hard work. Yes, work hard, but also work smart. Take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. Build the right relationships, learn from your failures, and stay focused on your goals. Because that's the real formula for success. It's not just about the grind, it's about the journey. We've all been told that hard work is the key to success. And don't get me wrong, effort matters. But if we're being honest with ourselves, working hard isn't the only thing that'll get us where we want to go. In fact, it might not even be the most important thing. Let me tell you something real. What you really need to understand is that success comes not from just putting in the hours, but from working smart. And smart work, that's not about avoiding effort. It's about making every ounce of your effort count. It's about being strategic, efficient, and thoughtful in the way you approach your goals. It's about being intentional with your time, energy, and resources. Now, let me break this down for you. Smart work isn't some mysterious, elusive concept. It's not about trying to get by with the least amount of effort. It's about doing more with what you have, being clear on what matters most, and making the best use of every resource at your disposal. Let's think about it for a moment. What are the things that separate those who truly succeed from those who keep struggling year after year? You've got people who are hustling, grinding every day, but there's a difference between working hard and working smart. Smart work isn't just about grinding it out without a plan. It's about focusing on what really moves the needle. It's about prioritizing the right tasks and taking the necessary actions that will get you where you need to be. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they chase after everything at once, trying to be all things to all people. They take on every task, answer every email, show up to every meeting, and try to do it all by themselves. But let me tell you, that's a recipe for burnout. Not every task is equally important. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. You've got to learn how to prioritize. You've got to recognize that some things matter more than others, and some actions will get you much further than others. Ask yourself this: what's going to bring me closer to my goal today? What's the one thing that if I focus on it will have the biggest impact on my success? Those are the things you need to focus on, and everything else can wait. Prioritizing is about choosing wisely, and it's about having the discipline to put your energy into what will really move the needle. But prioritizing isn't always easy. It's not always about working harder, but about working smarter. And that brings us to another key piece of smart work: leveraging technology and resources. We live in a world that's overflowing with tools, information, and technology that can make our lives easier. Yet too many of us try to do everything ourselves, believing that if we don't do it, it won't get done right. But if you're not leveraging the resources available to you, then you're missing out on a massive opportunity. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are tools, systems, and strategies that can help you streamline your work and save time. Technology isn't the enemy, it's your ally. When used correctly, technology allows you to automate repetitive tasks, keep things organized, and even analyze data that can inform your next move. Think about it this way. Technology is like a power tool. If you're trying to hammer a nail into the wall using your bare hands, it's going to take a lot longer and be a lot harder than if you just grab a hammer. That's the difference between working hard and working smart. You've got to know when to pick up the right tools and use them to your advantage. From project management apps to communication platforms, from automation software to social media marketing tools, these resources can save you hours of work, and more importantly, they can free up your mental energy so you can focus on the things that matter most. But here's the thing, leveraging resources isn't just about technology. It's about recognizing that you don't have to do everything alone. Another crucial element of smart work is delegation. Too often we try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We want to control every detail, make every decision, and do everything ourselves. But if you want to achieve anything truly great, you have to learn to trust others and delegate tasks to the people who are best suited for them. Delegation isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It's about recognizing that other people bring skills, expertise, and perspective that you don't have. When you're able to delegate, you free yourself up to focus on the high-level strategic work that only you can do. Think about it. When you're trying to manage everything, there's no way you can give your full attention to what really matters. But when you delegate, you can focus on the bigger picture. You can think about where you want to go and how you're going to get there, while the people you trust take care of the tasks that don't require your direct involvement. Delegating is about knowing your strengths and knowing that you don't have to be everything to everyone. It's about surrounding yourself with people who are as committed to your success as you are and letting them help you achieve your vision. And let's not forget the power of automation. If you're still manually doing things that could easily be automated, then you're wasting precious time. Automation allows you to set systems in place that will run on their own without needing constant attention. From email responses to scheduling, from social media posts to customer follow-ups, automation can handle many of the repetitive tasks that often bog us down. And you know what that means. More time for the things that matter, more time for the creative work, the strategic thinking, and the relationships that will really propel you forward. Now, let's talk about the mindset behind smart work. A lot of people are reactive rather than proactive. They're waiting for things to happen to them, waiting for someone else to make a move, waiting for someone else to make a move, waiting for someone else to make a move. But smart work requires a shift in thinking. It's about being strategic, thinking ahead, and taking control of your future. It's about anticipating challenges before they arrive and having a plan to handle them. Instead of just reacting to what's going on around you, you've got to be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. What's the next move? What's the next opportunity? What's the next challenge I'm going to face? And how can I prepare for it? Thinking strategically isn't something that happens by accident. It's something you have to intentionally cultivate. It's about looking at your situation from a wider lens, considering the long-term picture, and always asking yourself, what's the best way forward? It's about stepping back from the hustle and looking at the whole game, not just the next play. Strategic thinking allows you to act with purpose, to move in the direction that's best for you, and to avoid getting caught up in distractions that won't move you closer to your goal. Smart work is also about understanding that time is your most valuable resource. You can always make more money, you can always learn new skills, but time, once it's gone, it's gone. And that's why it's so important to make your time count. Every minute matters. Every hour is an opportunity to move closer to your dreams. So don't waste time on things that don't add value. Be intentional with where you spend your time and energy, and don't get distracted by the noise. The world will try to pull you in 1,000 directions, but your focus should be on what's truly important. Working smart means you're not running in circles. It means you're focused on the right tasks, using the right tools, and leveraging the right people. It's about staying ahead of the game, thinking strategically, and making sure that every action you take is an intentional step toward your bigger vision. It's about creating systems that work for you, not just working until you drop. It's about doing less but achieving more. So remember this, smart work is about making your effort count. It's about choosing what matters most, using the resources at your disposal, delegating when you need to, and thinking strategically about your next move. You're not just reacting to the world around you. You're planning, you're executing, and you're making sure that every step you take is moving you closer to where you want to be. That's smart work. And that's the work that leads to true success. Now, we've all heard the phrase, you've got to work hard if you want to succeed. And it's true to an extent. Hard work, the ability to grind, to put in the hours, is part of the recipe. But what happens when you put in all that effort and yet still feel like you're not getting any closer to where you want to be? What happens when the hours just don't seem to add up to progress? The problem isn't necessarily that you're working too hard. The problem is that you may not be working smart enough. So where do we find the balance? How do we know when to push forward with everything we've got and when to step back, reflect, and reassess? Let's be real. There's no magic formula. There's no single answer that fits everyone, because success isn't one size fits all. But if we're going to make real progress, we need to understand that there's a time for hard work and there's a time for smart work. Hard work builds your discipline, your perseverance, and your ability to push through when times get tough. But smart work ensures efficiency and real measurable progress. It's about understanding what matters, focusing your energy where it counts, and using your resources wisely. You see, you can work hard all day long, but if you're not working on the right things or working in the right way, then you're just spinning your wheels. And that's not the goal. The goal is progress, real growth. Think about the greatest performers in any field, whether we're talking about athletes, entrepreneurs, or artists. They don't just grind away mindlessly day after day. That's not how they reach the highest level. They practice deliberately. They are intentional about their effort. Every hour they put in is measured, focused, and aligned with their goals. They reflect, they analyze their results, and they adjust their approach. They blend relentless effort with strategic thinking. It's not just about the hustle, it's about the hustle with purpose. Take the world of sports. You've got athletes, top-tier athletes, who don't just show up and start running laps or lifting weights or putting in endless hours on the field. They're practicing with purpose. They're analyzing their performance. They're looking at the data, the numbers, the metrics that tell them where they need to improve. They know that every practice session, every drill needs to have a goal. It's not just about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about deliberate practice, figuring out where you're weak and putting in the effort where it counts. Now let's talk about entrepreneurs. Look at the ones who truly rise above the pack. They don't just work for the sake of working. They understand that their time is the most precious resource they have. They prioritize. They don't spend their days caught up in low impact tasks. They focus on high leverage activities, the things that will really move the needle forward. They understand that they can't do everything themselves. And they build teams, they delegate, they automate, they maximize their impact in every way they can. They're not just grinding, they're building systems that work for them. Take Elon Musk as an example. This man is famous for his insane work ethic. The guy's putting in 100-hour weeks, no question. But here's the thing, what sets him apart isn't just his ability to work hard. It's his ability to innovate, automate, and optimize everything he does. He doesn't waste time on tasks that don't move the needle for his companies. His focus is on high leverage activities. He's constantly thinking about how to maximize his time and resources. And when things aren't working, he doesn't just double down on the grind. No, he steps back, he analyzes, he adjusts, he optimizes. That's how he gets the results he does. Musk doesn't just grind for the sake of grinding. He focuses on creating systems that allow him to leverage his time and effort more effectively. He doesn't spend his days in a constant state of reaction. He anticipates what needs to be done, and he uses strategy to make sure he's always staying ahead of the curve. That's smart work. It's about efficiency. It's about focusing your energy on the things that will have the biggest impact. He's blending that relentless work ethic with a clear strategic approach. Let me break this down for you. The key is knowing when to push and when to pull back. If you're working hard all the time, but you're not seeing the results you want, then maybe it's time to reflect. Maybe it's time to step back and ask yourself, what am I doing that's not moving me forward? What could I be doing differently? Where am I focusing my energy, and is that where it should be? You see, success doesn't come from working harder or longer than everyone else. And working smarter doesn't mean avoiding hard work. It means being more strategic with your effort. It means putting your energy where it's going to count. You have to find the balance between pushing forward relentlessly and stepping back to reflect, optimize, and adjust. Sometimes you need to keep going. Push harder, put in more effort, keep grinding. But other times you need to pull back, take a breath, look at what's working and what isn't. Ask yourself how you can do things differently. What can you optimize? What can you change? This is where most people miss the mark. They're so caught up in the grind, so focused on pushing forward that they don't take the time to assess if they're even on the right path. And if you're not on the right path, no amount of hard work is going to get you to where you want to go. I want you to understand something right now. The balance between hard work and smart work isn't something you're going to find overnight. It's a process. It's a constant evolution. It requires you to keep learning, keep growing, and keep adjusting. It's about having the humility to know that sometimes your effort needs to be recalibrated. It's about being honest with yourself and saying, I'm doing the work, but am I doing it in the best possible way? Think about the greatest leaders in history, whether it's in business, sports, or entertainment. The ones who rise to the top don't just push endlessly. They combine hard work with thoughtful strategy. They create systems and routines that make their effort count. They surround themselves with people who complement their strengths, and they know when to adjust. When things aren't working, they don't just double down on more effort. They step back, analyze, and make the changes necessary to get back on track. But this balance is not just about the external strategies. It's about your mindset too. Hard work builds your resilience. It builds your determination. It teaches you to show up even when the going gets tough. But smart work teaches you to think. It teaches you to plan, to strategize, and to optimize. The best performers don't just rely on their strength. They combine it with wisdom. They blend heart and mind, effort and strategy. The balance comes when you realize that the grind isn't the end goal. It's part of the journey, but it's not the only part. You've got to work hard. No one gets to the top without discipline, without putting in the hours. But at the same time, you've got to be smart about it. You've got to know when to push harder and when to step back and think, analyze, and optimize. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're working efficiently, strategically, and with purpose. And that, my friends, is when you'll see the real results. Listen, we've all heard it, the grind, the hustle, the just keep pushing no matter what mentality. People say it all the time, and don't get me wrong, there's truth in it. Hard work is a must. You can't just sit back and expect success to come knocking at your door. No, you got to go out and get it. But here's the thing. Hard work alone won't get you all the way. If it did, then everyone working hard would be a success. The reality is, it's not just about how hard you work, but about how smart you work. And I want to take this a step further. I want to give you something that will change the game for you. It's not just about working hard or working smart. It's about knowing when to combine both of them and knowing how to use them together to create something unstoppable. And here's the key to all of that. It's about sharpening your axe. Now, let me take you back for a moment. Imagine this. There's a man with a dull axe. He's out there in the woods, working hard, swinging that axe with all his might. He's chopping at the tree over and over again, swinging with everything he has. And yes, he's working hard, but here's the catch. No matter how hard he swings, that dull axe isn't cutting through the tree. He's wearing himself out, getting tired, sweating, pushing through every swing, but there's no progress. That tree isn't going anywhere. And you know what happens? He gets frustrated. He gets tired. He's giving everything he's got, but it's just not working. And after a while, that man might start thinking, he's just not good enough. Maybe he's just not strong enough. But let's pause here. What if the issue wasn't his strength? What if the issue was that his axe wasn't sharp enough? Now, let me ask you this. How many of you are out there working hard every day, swinging that axe over and over, doing everything you can to achieve your goals, but somehow it's not working? How many of you are running full speed, putting in the hours, pushing yourself to the limit, only to feel like you're stuck in the same place? How many of you are wondering why it feels like no matter how hard you push, you're just not making the progress you want? The answer isn't more brute force. The answer is simple. You need to sharpen your axe. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, sharpen my axe. What does that even mean? Let me break it down for you. Sharpening your axe means taking the time to pause, to step back, and to think strategically. It means improving your tools, your skills, and your approach. It means working smarter, not harder. It means recognizing that while hard work is crucial, it's the sharpness of your tools, the clarity of your thinking, the efficiency of your effort, the focus of your actions that will get you where you want to go. It's about recognizing that the effort you put in needs to be supported by the right preparation, the right strategy, and the right mindset. It's about sharpening the things that matter most: your focus, your skills, your resources, and your approach to the task at hand. Here's the truth, and I want you to hear me clearly. Success isn't just about working hard. It's about working with purpose. It's about having the right tools in your hands and using those tools with precision. You've got to sharpen your axe before you dive into the next big task. If you're out there just swinging and swinging with no clear direction, no plan, and no sharpened edge to your effort, you're going to wear yourself out. You'll be exhausted, frustrated, and wondering why things aren't moving the way you thought they would. But when you sharpen your axe, when you sharpen your skills, your focus, and your strategy, everything changes. It's like this. The best performers in the world, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the artists, are not just grinding it out every day. They know that success doesn't come from sheer willpower alone. They know that it's about deliberate practice. It's about taking the time to improve, to reflect, and to optimize. They understand that sharpness is key. They understand that the more you work on your tools, the better you'll perform when it's time to go to work. That's what separates the truly successful from the rest. They don't just show up and hope for the best. They show up with a strategy, with clarity, and with tools that are honed to perfection. Think about it. If you're not constantly improving, if you're not sharpening your skills and refining your approach, then you're just relying on brute force. And you can't rely on brute force forever. At some point, it's going to wear you down. At some point, you're going to hit a wall. But when you take the time to sharpen your axe, when you take the time to reflect, learn, and grow, you're setting yourself up for success. You're preparing yourself to tackle whatever comes your way with precision and power. Now, let me take this even further. Sharpening your axe isn't just about improving your skills or tools. It's also about sharpening your mindset. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about making sure that you're physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared for the challenges ahead. If you're not in the right headspace, if you're not taking care of your health, your mental well-being, and your relationships, then you're not going to be able to bring your best self to the work. You've got to sharpen your axe in every area of your life. You've got to be willing to invest in yourself to constantly grow and improve in all aspects of your being, because when you're at your best, everything else falls into place. You can't expect to show up and perform at your highest level if you're not taking care of yourself first. And here's the kicker. Sharpening your axe also means knowing when to step back. You can't just keep going without pause, without reflection. You can't just keep grinding away, hoping for the best. Sometimes you've got to stop, look at what you're doing, and ask yourself, am I using the best approach? Is there a better way to get this done? It's about taking the time to assess, adjust, and optimize your strategy. It's about being strategic in your approach, not just reactive. Now, I'm not saying you don't need to work hard. You do, you absolutely do. But if you're not sharpening your axe, if you're not refining your approach, you're just swinging without direction. And that won't get you far. You've got to be intentional with your effort. You've got to be smart about how you use your time, your energy, and your resources. Hard work plus sharpness equals success. Hard work without sharpness will only get you so far, and eventually it will leave you burned out and frustrated. So here's what I want you to do. Before you dive into the next task, before you go running off to the next challenge, ask yourself, am I just swinging the axe, or am I sharpening it too? Because the sharpest tools used with the right effort create the greatest results. Take the time to reflect, to learn, to grow, and to sharpen your approach. Invest in yourself, invest in your skills. And when you step into that next challenge, do it with clarity, with purpose, and with the sharpest edge you can bring to the table. It's time to stop grinding for the sake of grinding. It's time to sharpen that axe. It's time to work smarter, not just harder. And when you do that, that's when you'll see the real results. That's when you'll be unstoppable. Keep pushing, keep improving, and keep sharpening. Success is waiting for you. Now go get it.